Welcome to Chapter 11, the Crisis Communications Plan, From Reaction to Readiness. We've spent this entire course learning how to respond when crisis hits. We've studied transportation disasters, culture breakdowns, truth versus privacy dilemmas, and social media firestorms. Now, we shift from reactive to proactive. This chapter is about preparation, the discipline that separates professionals who survive crises from those who are consumed by them. Plans compress chaos into coordinated action. They give you time when time runs out. Let's learn how to build one that actually works. This is our final chapter, and it matters because it synthesizes everything you've learned. You now understand how to communicate during transportation crises, culture crises, and privacy-constrained situations. But all that knowledge is reactive. It assumes the crisis has already begun. This chapter teaches you how to prepare before the fire starts. Plans convert chaos into coordinated action. Preparation compresses time to truth, protects people, and preserves trust. This is where professionals separate themselves from amateurs. This is where you move from responding to leading. Let's be clear about what a crisis communications plan actually is and what it is not. A plan is a framework for action. It's a living document that evolves with your organization. It defines roles, triggers, and checklists. It's adaptable to different scenarios and includes pre-approved messages ready to deploy. But here's what it is not. It is not a script for every possible situation. GCare is not a 200-page binder that no one reads. It is not legalese only, owned by one person, or a set-and-forget document gathering dust. A good plan is usable, flexible, and practiced. Why do organizations fail without a crisis communications plan? 3 reasons: delayed responses, conflicting messages, and loss of trust. Without a plan, there's no activation trigger. No one knows when to escalate or who has approval authority. Legal bottlenecks stall critical communication. That's delayed response, and it costs you time. Next, conflicting messages. Multiple spokespeople say different things. Email and Slack chaos erupts. Rumors outrun verified facts. Stakeholders receive contradictory information and credibility collapses. Finally, loss of trust. Stakeholders feel the confusion. Regulators and media step in and take control of the narrative. The organization loses its voice. A plan prevents all 3 failures. Step 1 is to build a crisis inventory. Ask yourself, what could realistically go wrong in our organization? Think across 4 dimensions: people, process, technology, and partners. Then, rate each potential crisis on a scale of 1 to 5 for likelihood and impact. Multiply those 2 numbers to create a risk matrix. This gives you a top 10 list of crises to prepare for. Don't stop there. Note single points of failure, critical dependencies, and areas of reputational exposure. The goal is not to predict every crisis, but to identify the most likely and most damaging scenarios so you can prepare targeted responses. When building your crisis inventory, think beyond the obvious disasters like fires or accidents. Modern crises include systems failures, IT outages, cyber attacks, data breaches. People issues, employee misconduct, whistleblowers, labor actions, discrimination claims. Culture problems, safety shortcuts, ignored near misses, toxic leadership. Technology and third-party risks, vendor failures, AI errors, supply chain shocks. These crises don't make headlines until they explode, but they're simmering in organizations right now. Your inventory must reflect the full spectrum of risk, not just the traditional disasters. Step 2 is to identify key publics. In a crisis, you don't communicate to the public. You communicate to specific audiences with different information needs. Your core publics are employees who need clarity, direction, and safety guidance. customers who need status updates and continuity information, media who need verified facts and access to spokespersons, and community stakeholders, including regulators, partners, and local leaders who need empathy, context, and accountability. Map each public's influence, information needs, and preferred communication channels. This mapping becomes the foundation for your messaging strategy. Not all publics are equal, and they don't need the same information. Employees need clarity about their role, direction on what to do next, safety guidance, and expectations for behavior during the crisis. Customers need status updates, continuity plans, options or compensation if they're affected, and clear next steps. Media and community stakeholders need verified facts, access to credible spokespersons, empathy and context about what happened, and transparency about corrective actions. Treating all publics the same is a mistake. Tailor your message to each audience's specific needs and concerns. Step 3 is to define crisis team structure. Ask 3 critical questions: who leads, who speaks, and who approves. You need an incident or response lead with a deputy for 24/7 coverage. You need a primary spokesperson and trained backups. Never rely on one person. And you need a clear chain of command across operations, legal, and communications. Use RACI matrices: responsible, accountable, consulted, informed, to eliminate ambiguity. Set time-boxed service expectations. How quickly must legal review a statement? How fast can the CEO be briefed? Without structure, you get chaos. With structure, you get coordination. What happens without structure? 3 predictable failures. Too many voices lead to contradiction and leaks. When everyone speaks, no one is accountable, and messages conflict. Mixed messaging destroys credibility. Stakeholders receive contradictory information and lose trust. Internal confusion leads to slower decisions, missed stakeholders, and shadow communications where informal channels spread rumors faster than official updates. Structure is not bureaucracy, it's clarity. It's knowing who decides, who speaks, and who executes. Without it, crises spiral out of control. Step 4 is to build messaging frameworks. You need 3 types of messages ready before a crisis strikes. First, holding statements. Acknowledge the situation, express empathy, describe the process underway, and commit to a next update time. These buy you time while gathering facts. Second, key messages. What happened, what we know and don't know, what we're doing, and what's next. These form the backbone of all communication. Third, boundaries. What cannot be shared due to privacy or legal constraints. Pre-approved social media posts, question and answer documents anticipating tough questions, and translation readiness for multilingual audiences. Prepare these frameworks now, then customize them during crisis. Step 5 is internal first, external second. Always communicate internally before going external. Why? Because employees are your frontline ambassadors. If they hear about a crisis from the news instead of leadership, trust collapses and leaks multiply. Internal communication means all staff alerts, manager briefings with talking points, frequently asked questions for common concerns, and a consistent cascade from leadership to teams. Only after employees are informed do you go external. Newsroom posts, social media updates, stakeholder emails, and media outreach, all synchronized with internal timing. Employees aligned are employees empowered. Employees blindsided are employees who leak, speculate, and undermine your message. Step 6 is to activate the command center. Here's the flow. First, activate, trigger the crisis response, and assemble the core team. Second, staff roles. Operations, legal, communications, HR, and IT all report in. Third, Spin up tools, a war room or virtual hub, Slack or Teams channels, dashboards for monitoring, and call logs for tracking inquiries. Fourth, set cadence. Establish briefing schedules and decision logs to track what was decided, when, and by whom. Fifth, handover. Ensure seamless transitions between shifts for multi-day crises. Sixth, demobilize. When the crisis ends, conduct a debrief to capture lessons learned. The command center is your operational brain during crisis. Plan it now, activate it fast. Step 7 is to keep it usable. Remember this principle: simple beats complex, clear beats comprehensive. Your plan should include one-page checklists that people can actually use under pressure. Wallet cards or QR codes linking to quick reference guides, contact trees updated quarterly so you're not calling disconnected numbers, a drill schedule to practice activation, job aids placed at point of use, not buried in a SharePoint folder. Remove the fluff and eliminate shelfware. If your plan requires a 30-minute search to find the right page, it will fail. Usability is the difference between a plan that works and a plan that collects dust. Prodromes are early warning signs, signals that a crisis is building. Watch for 3 categories: operational signals, service level breaches, quality escapes, safety near misses. These indicate process breakdowns. People and culture signals, HR complaint spikes, rumor patterns, ethics hotline trends. These indicate cultural problems. Digital and external signals, phishing waves, negative sentiment trends, influencer chatter about your brand. These indicate external threats. The key is to treat near misses as data, not luck. Escalate patterns early. Most crises don't come out of nowhere. They simmer, smolder, then explode. Prodromes give you the chance to intervene before the explosion. Let's crystallize the final takeaways from this entire course. First, crisis equals trust test. Every crisis reveals whether stakeholders believe in you. Second, communication is leadership under pressure. How you communicate during crisis defines your credibility. Third, preparation equals time advantage. Plans practiced beat thick binders every time. Fourth, plans that sit on shelves don't save organizations. Plans that are drilled, updated, and activated do. Your next step? Schedule a tabletop exercise within 30 days. Walk through a realistic scenario with your team. Test your plan, find the gaps, fix them. Because when crisis strikes, and it will, you will not have time to figure it out. You'll only have time to execute. Prepare now, lead then.